Alright, welcome to part 5. So in part 5 we're going to do the exact same question or similar question we did in part 4, which is all about trigonometry in a quadrant. Alright, so hopefully you wrote down all of this information on the screen you're seeing right now, because this is the theory part you need to memorize. Alright, so let's go and have a look at my second question. Alright, so the first thing I told you is to always take your first part and evaluate that first. Alright, so my first part says, if 13 cos A minus 5 is equal to 0, as 13 cos A minus 5 gelijk is aan 0. So I'm going to take my first part and I'm going to rewrite it and evaluate it. Alright, so by evaluating, I mean you have to get your identity alone and a ratio or a fraction on the other side. Alright, so the first thing we are taking over is my negative 5. So it becomes 13 cos A, 13 cos A equals to 5. Then I'm taking over my 13, so my 13 is multiplying on this side, so if I take it over, it becomes 5 divided by 13. Alright, so if I go and draw my Cartesian plane, because that's what we actually want to do, we want to determine where is this sketch. Alright, I know this is cast, so it will be C-A-S-T. Alright, so what is my identity I'm working with? I'm working with cos. Alright, and is cos at the moment positive or negative? Alright, there's no minus, so it means it is positive. So where, in which quadrants is cos positive? Cos is positive in my first quadrant where everything is positive, as well as the fourth quadrant, which is cos's quadrant. Alright, then we move on to the second part of information. So the second part says, and sine A is less than 0. En sin A is kleiner as 0. So going back to what we remember, if something is less than 0, it means it is negative. So I want to know, where is sine A negative? Alright, so sine is obviously negative where it is not positive. So sine will be negative in quadrant 3, which is tan's quadrant, and it will also be negative in quadrant 4, which is cos's quadrant. So in which quadrant will my shape lie? It will be in quadrant 4, because I have 1, 2 check marks. Alright, so it will be like this, and remember we always take it back to my x-axis, never to my y-axis. Alright, so it means that this angle here is my theta. Alright, now we have to give this triangle values. So looking at the position of my triangle, I can see that my x value will be positive because it's on the positive side. My y will be negative because it's underneath, and then r is always positive. Alright, so let's go back. So at the moment I had cos A is equal to 5 over 13. Sorry, we're not working with theta, we are working with A. So this is angle A. Alright, so cos A, so we remember cos is my x value over my r value. So that's what I'm going to do now. So my x value is 5 and my r value is 13. Okay, let's put that into my triangle. So in x's place, I'm putting my 5. I'm losing my drawing. Alright, and in r's place, I am putting my 13. Okay, remember there's always going to be a side you have to calculate. So the side I have to calculate is my y. So I'm going to write down r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. My reason is Pythagoras. Alright, in r's place I'm putting my 13. In x's place I'm putting my 5. And I don't know what y is, so we're leaving it as y. Alright, calculating this, I know this is 169, this is 25, and this is y squared. So to get y squared alone, I have to take over my 25 At the moment it is positive, so if it goes over it becomes minus 25. Alright, and 169 minus 25 is 144. And to get rid of my squared, ontslaat er ook vanuit die mag 2, I have to put both sides in a square root. So y is equal to either positive or negative 12. Alright, so looking at the position of y is in my negative axis. What happened to my x-axis? Alright, it is at the bottom, so it means it will be negative 12. Alright, so now that I have all my values, I can actually start answering my questions. Alright, so question A says calculate tan A. So the first thing you need to remember, what is tan A? Tan is my y value over my x value. Alright, so tan A is my y value over my x value. So my y value is negative 12 and my x value is 5. So it means tan A is minus 12 over 5. Remember, I did not ask you to work out the value of A. I never told you to solve A. So you're not going to do any substitution or shift factoring, none of that. You just substitute in the two sides and what their values were. Alright, then question B said work out the value of sine squared A minus 1. So sine, we remember, is my y value over my r value. It has to be squared, so we put it in brackets. Then my y value is negative 12. My r value is 13 squared minus 1. So this will be 144 over 169 minus 1. And if I calculate that, I will get minus 25 over 169. And there you have it. A question like this can count almost 8 marks. Alright, so your first steps are always the same. Evaluate your first part, get it as a fraction, and then you search which sides or which quadrants will that be applicable. Then you take your second part, once again, which quadrant is applicable, draw your sketch, get the x, y, and r value, and then you go and answer your question.